Who's going fishing Sunday?
I am. Let's go.
Let's go.
I am.
I'm in.
What week? Can you put that cat down?
Yeah. The cat's in.
I was trying to be a Bond villain. I apologize.
Yeah.
It's warm by this fire, Buck.
We're not even in the fire. We need to jump in the current.
We got to cool off in the current.
I just want everyone to know, I mean, we say it all the time. You have 7 best friends when you tune into us every week.
And it's wild because we used to say that, but now it's so real.
And it was just a real existential morning, guys.
Got all existential.
Did you short drift them?
Well,
That's a yes.
That's what the Canadians say.
No bueno.
No bueno.
If there is a traditional Canadian saying, no bueno.
and we're back. This is the Rutten River Pursuits podcast. And we are about to get right back into the current tonight. We are Reality Outdoor Radio, where we get you into the outdoors by connecting you with people, products, and skills that you can trust.
You can trust them.
Mm-hmm. How about it? And guys, let me tell you about this month's sponsor. This month's sponsor is our good friend at Dusk to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service, Captain Mark Spagnola.
Ooh, good old Cat Mark.
The one and only. Both Dusk to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service are operated out of the eastern shore of Maryland, as well as the Chesapeake Bay area. In the summer months, you can bow fish for species the likes of stingrays, gar, and snakeheads. While in the winter, Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service can put you on sea ducks of all makes and models.
Little fighter pilots just flying in an inch off the water.
Yep.
Those little speedy little buggers.
You and Stevie love them. Spend a lot of ammo on them. You can learn and book these epic outdoor experiences at dusttodawnbowfishing.com or marylandwaterfowl.com.
Noise. Get you some.
And tell Captain Mark the Rutten River boys said hello.
Oh, Stevie and I are going to get back out there after them sea ducks. I got a feeling.
I tell you what, there's some good times on that boat there, that's for sure.
I never had so much fun as I did on the sea duck boat with Captain Mark.
It was good stuff.
Yeah, it was, guys.
Oh, it was awesome.
Always a good time. And who do we have around the table tonight? This is Bucky.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Will.
Steve.
Hey.
As in like the bad boy podcasting, Steve?
The
Welcome
one and
back.
only.
You got
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to
Welcome
be back.
You've been on vacation.
Well, not so much.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Little bits. Mini vacations. Weekenders. But, no.
You've been on a bender of weekenders.
Oh, tell me about it. I don't
missed
think I haven't been this tired as I am right now at this point in my life since I think I had my first kid. Well, my wife had a... See, I'm so tired. I'm delirious.
Yeah,
I thought I had a kid.
You thought you were pregnant.
Yeah.
He's going to be a soccer player.
No, it's been work and family stuff last several weeks. So we're through that.
It's behind you now.
It's behind us now.
You're ready to settle back in.
I'm ready to settle back in. Yeah.
Well, we're ready to have you.
It's good to have you back.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You've been
I
missed.
appreciate the warm welcome I got this evening.
Yeah, it was. It was real great.
So, Bucky, what have you been up to the last few weeks that I've been out? I missed you.
Last few weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we could just go. I could just listen to the current and find out what you were up to.
Yeah, we've
several
smoked
weeks.
some meats and we made some kniveses.
Knives is
Yeah.
okay. What about this past week?
This past weekend.
Anything good?
I actually got out into the Susquehanna River for a few hours.
I think I saw
You
some pictures
rascal.
about that.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Did you
that
invite anybody?
I don't think that was on the koozie,
It
which
was
was a
a little-
source of some discontent Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Muy discontent, as the Canadians say.
Consider the source of discontent.
Well,
Nonetheless, it was
Yeah.
discontent.
Yeah. So,
irregardless.
irregardless.
I was shocked that I wasn't invited.
Well, I already knew you guys were putting in on into another.
Whoa! Don't go down that
Body of
easy
water.
now. What'd you do?
I did a little wet wading.
Did you?
Just right here in town, or not here in town, in North Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Any luck?
No luck at all.
No luck. How was the
luck at all.
water?
Warm.
It's much lower this year, right? Than like this year, we've actually been able to walk out and not worry about
I still hit a few
17 foot.
couple of little pockets where I definitely had to swim.
I can say with certainty it's not as low as it was 2 years ago because I happened to swing by Muskie Tower.
Did you?
On the way here tonight?
You didn't.
Oh, you
And
did.
you can't see that
Talk
chain
about-
of rocks that goes out to Muskie Tower.
No kidding.
They're still underwater, and that's at 4 foot in Harrisburg on the gauge.
And we stood on those rocks.
Yeah, so it must have been 2 years ago, 2 summers ago. It had to be down at 3.5.
Boy, we were spoiled then, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
My goodness.
But it was still a nice day. It started off overcast. I fished water that I never had before, but switched up bait a little bit. I think I had a couple of nibbles or strikes,
Yeah.
or it could have been the bottom. But I like to think maybe I found a couple
They
here
were
and there.
Short strikes.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe you soft mouthed them.
That's what it was.
Shorties.
Yeah, I
and
think so.
I might have horsed them.
You
Couple
horsed
of
them.
Atlantic pinks.
You farmed them in.
Bucky was
Farmed 'em in.
popping
Yeah.
pinks.
But the guy, I went with a friend of mine and his son, and they were not prepared to fish for smallies. So
They weren't.
No, so that's
Were they-
why it was kind of a shorter trip.
Throwing bunker spoons and
What they? Yeah.
They were throwing some
Night crawlers.
store-bought shad that, I mean, if you were anywhere near John after he had,
Like salted shad.
I don't even know.
Brined.
How about
Shad in a bag.
left
Sardines.
left in a cooler in the back of your pickup truck during like a Texas
Were they red?
summer? I don't know what color
You ever
they were.
see
I
those
didn't want to
vacuum sealed bags that Walmart sells?
I didn't want to get too
Walls
close
Like
to
catfish bait
because
there at the Walmarts.
It was stank bait.
it's pungent.
Oh, yeah.
What they get bit at all?
No, not at all. So
Any channel cats?
no channels. I thought
Flatheads.
Channel locks?
no flatheads. Just a stringer full of memories.
Yeah.
Usual Bucky fare.
It was fantastic weather,
You?
and the river had to be beautiful.
Who was those guys? Was it Derek Keller and Kyle?
No, they didn't catch any fish. Sounds like they were probably
yeah,
there.
that's their
We're
modus.
going to hear about this on Sunday.
Oh man.
That's their modus operandi.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But it was a good morning.
I'm glad you had
I'm
a
glad
good
you
time.
got out.
Yeah.
Boy, because it was beautiful, right?
It was.
It was foggy down here, and then the sun burned it off. But once it came off, it was a glorious morning.
That wasn't fog, bud.
What was it?
That was smoke rolling in from the campfire when we were cooking breakfast.
Breakfast camps.
Okay.
Breakfast Sammy's?
Let's get right into this because I've been
Yeah, there was a big
chomping
trip.
at the bit.
So
to,
I just want to, before we do, we could easily eat up a whole podcast talking about
absolutely.
our adventure.
I'm
but-
pretty sure that's what we just teed you up to do, bud. So
but
have at it.
I honestly can't believe you didn't catch another personal best and all that stuff.
Yeah, no PBs.
It's
16
no
record book
PBs. In the last 2 weeks, it's been
Hards,
it's been tough. Yeah.
hard knock life, bud.
Yep. Just
What's going on? Do you even fish anymore?
I do.
Because we don't know.
I just haven't. It's
No pictures.
It's been not as much this. I didn't have much luck this year, or haven't had a whole lot of luck. I'm trying to do better at timing when I go. So instead of, in years past, it's been anytime, didn't matter. Even if I knew I wasn't gonna catch anything,
Right.
I would go. I'm
You're
trying
looking for
I'm trying to
quality
be
now,
more
not quantity.
opportunistic. Yes, and it's enabling me to better utilize my time.
Using the moon phases and barometric pressures.
No, I don't. I'm still not convinced that any of that.
You don't prescribe to that theory.
I think the pressure
You got trail
is
cameras out?
something. I think there's something to pressure. There's something to cold fronts.
Yeah.
That much I can concede. But moon phases, I don't know. A lot of people talk about it. See, don't get me off top. I read this book one time.
They say that the salmons up in the Alaskas don't run until it rains.
And
That's a true statement.
maybe that's, yes. But why is it because of what?
It needs that drop in
What's
water. to
driving that?
trigger,
Is it
or-
the sound of the rain, or is it flushing?
It's the volume of water coming off the river, hitting the
like, is that flushing
Stuff.
pushing
Yeah.
fresh water in or moving?
Yeah, well, they have a better chance to make the run, when the water's higher.
Okay,
and all
well that may.
stuff,
Oh, I got you. They don't come into
into
the
the
spawning area.
right.
Okay,
go upriver.
but yeah, I don't want to get in all in the science of why. But yeah, that's
goodness.
just.
Woo!
I guess I
Close one there, boys.
for the last few weeks I've been trying to just time it a little bit better because
Sure.
life has been extremely busy.
Surgical strikes.
Surgical
is what you're doing
strikes.
now. I like
yes,
it.
Yes.
So are you bass fishing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lake
Shock and all.
Yeah. Just a normal, normal.
Steven
Local
Schwarzkopf.
Normal local stuff. We'll be camping this weekend, and there's some small lakes there, so me and my kids will go goof around there. There's actually forget it. I'm not even going to go in there. There's a fishing competition there this weekend.
What?
But they put
we'll
all
hear about
kinds.
that next week.
They put all kinds of rules
Can't wait.
to it, and I can't get behind that. That's.
Well, yeah, you're the outlaw.
You gotta let us fish how we fish, or I ain't joining your.
Like what
competition.
kind of rules? What are you?
Barbless hooks, no trebles, things like that. I can understand the barbless hooks.
What about?
I guess I could probably understand the no trebles too.
What if you individually tie 3 hooks on one line?
I don't think you. Well, I know that's legal now,
It's not a trouble.
but check your regs. Yeah, then it's not a trouble. I guess you could. I don't know
but I'm
if
saying
that would
it's
help
still
you.
the same.
You might snag more. Which?
Well,
How do we get down this path?
I don't know.
We should talk about the ethics of snagging fish.
Tom Snagmore was my.
Your gym teacher.
Yeah.
Mr. Snagmore. 8th grade gym teacher.
Yeah. Believe it or not.
Yeah. Remember him. We got to talk about this river trip, guys. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah,
We pushed it off because it's going to take up a lot of the podcast.
You got that now. It's here. Take it. Do it. Let's go.
So
Get on with it.
Carpe float, bud.
quit slow rolling
Seize
it,
it.
bud.
So honestly, this isn't even a Rotten River Pursuits function, which I'm surprised we haven't done it.
Yeah, I don't remember
Yeah.
it being on the koozie.
Yeah.
I think it made the koozie.
Yeah, it made the koozie.
It probably did.
I thought you lived on that
sounded
thing.
good.
Religious, you said.
This was a podglomeration, I think is what we can call it. Because we had representatives from Rotten River Pursuits.
Yeah.
Will and I being those two. We had representatives from Span the Void, actually the entire podcast. That would be me, Brad, and Jim.
Yeah.
And we had representative from the Matt and Andrew versus Society podcast. Came down from New York City.
New York City.
Hey, I'm in New York.
Now, Matt Patton is a good friend of the Span the Void podcast, and we've done several outings and trips and stuff with him.
Yeah.
We met up with both the guys from Mavs.
This isn't
Before.
become an annual thing,
Yeah.
at least for Matt,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, Andrew needs to start joining in the fun, but this is his second annual trip to the country.
Yeah.
And last year it was filled with a lot of
Chicago boy there, Bucky.
Oh, man.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
yeah. Last year was filled with a lot of ATV riding and gunfire, and we thought, well, what could we do with them this year to introduce them to more of our world? He's born and raised in Chicago, or just outside of Chicago, and moved to New York City.
Oh, boy.
So we thought, hey, let's introduce him to the wonderful world of fishing the Juniata River
How about
by
it?
kayak.
Wow, you took him to like wilderness, like Alaska wilderness in his world.
In his mind,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
What I found out later,
Well, yeah, it wasn't as big of a deal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as it turns out.
yeah, after the fact or in the middle of the fact, because I found out during the trip,
That's the term.
he actually went to college somewhere out in Colorado and spent like 10 weeks as a whitewater rafting guy.
Oh, okay.
So the Juniata River on a kayak wasn't too extreme for
Oh
him.
yeah, we hit a couple .5s.
Yeah, we did. No, but he honestly couldn't remember the last time that he caught a fish where he was actually fishing. He said maybe he was
Really?
10 or 11 years old,
Oh, no kidding.
just as a kid. So, we wanted to get him on some
That was
fish.
funny too, because he was like right away. He was like, "I got one!" Like, out of
that's
nowhere.
awesome.
Yeah,
That
out
is.
of nowhere, you just heard him yell. So it was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Nice.
It was a good time. So we decided we were going to do this float trip down to Juniata.
Yeah.
Camping overnight.
And it wasn't spur of the moment. This
Like
thing
Huck
was
Finn.
this
Yeah.
thing was pretty thought out. And
Yes, we had some logistical plans. We knew where we were putting in.
Mm-hmm.
We knew where we were taking out, how many vehicles were taken, which vehicle we're dropping at the takeout point.
Do you know if that was like, how was that determined? Did somebody do that prior, or you just like?
Here's the thing. All of this was done by sort of word of mouth. We've heard that people have done it,
Yeah.
and then we just checked Google Maps
And did it.
and found some stuff.
That level of planning, you have to do that, right? Like you can't just
You should
Or you should.
show up.
You should
and-
do it a little bit more than what we did.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's cut to the chase, like to jump to the end of the story.
Okay.
If you wanted to do an epic overnight kayaking adventure, we can tell you exactly what to do because you'll do it exactly the same way we did it. If you want an epic overnight fishing kayak adventure,
Yeah.
we should shorten the trip.
You'll
up.
cut it.
Really?
In half.
Yeah, you'll cut it in half.
Really?
We couldn't really fish it because we were too busy most of the time paddling to get to our destinations. Either where
You
we were
had to get
camping
there
or
because your
through the
vehicle
trucks.
was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no.
So there was no turning back.
Plan
You're
B.
not paddling uphill.
Yeah.
Or
It's
upstream.
two different games,
Yeah, you either want to fish
Really?
or you want to cover distance.
or you want to
You
stay
can't do
hydrated and eat jerky and stuff.
Some of it. So let's talk about the distance that we did cover. Right.
Yeah.
Grand total.
Yeah.
From drop off to takeout was just over 30 miles.
Woo!
Road miles, river miles.
River miles.
Whoa.
Yeah, we covered some ground. We did a little over
As the
17.
bass swims.
Yeah, we did a little over 17 the first day.
That's the bass swims.
A little over 17 day one, camped, and then the next day we had 13 and a half roughly to go to the truck.
Now I'm river technology illiterate.
You're new.
Go on.
So how do you know you did 17 miles?
We have what you in the business call a gym.
We have Adventure Jimmy.
Adventure Jimmy.
He
Jimmy.
doesn't sleep like normal people.
Okay.
I think he sleeps standing up like
Really?
like a horse. And like so
That
he-
works for him. Whatever.
in the morning of day 2, he's like, I stayed up and I plotted out the
I was
entire
bored."
course.
Yeah.
Like Clark Griswold of
Yeah.
the Juniata River.
Yes, he's the
Well,
Clark Griswold of
he
the junior.
plotted it how? Like with a map and a.
Google Maps has a
On
measuring
the Apple
tool,
IIe, bud.
and you can
Randy
you can
McNally over
click a point and
Yeah.
then click another spot on the
Oh,
map.
yeah, yeah.
Well, with that measuring tool on a phone, mind you, imagine how much you'd have to zoom in and then click all those different points to get the contours of the river. Like if you look at the map that he made us where he had it measured out,
Yeah.
there was like every 3 foot of the river, he dropped another point.
The last time I did that was for Long Pine Reservoir.
Oh,
and
measure.
I measured it with like the whole reservoir with like 4 points or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, you were looking for square footage, right?
No.
and that was prior to your deeper.
You need a surface area.
And Jimmy, wow, that's
But yeah,
that's
we
incredible.
did.
He actually hit us with some bathymetric maps in the morning.
No way. That's my kind of talk.
Yeah. some of it was on us as far as the fact that we didn't do as much fishing as we wanted to.
Yeah.
Because day one, when we started off,
What time was it when you started?
we didn't get to the boat. We didn't get stuff launched until about 10:30. I think 10:30 was when. Yes.
Yeah.
10:30 Saturday morning.
Okay.
Is when we actually.
We left Castle Madera at 7.
And you knew that, like, for 10:30, you had to be.
No.
Did you have a deadline? Like, did you have to be back at a certain time Sunday?
Yes. Because Matt had a train ticket to get back to
So
New
what
York
time
City
did you
at
have to be
5
back?
p.m.
5:30.
So you had to be out of the water in the car rolling
Three,
by
I think 3 was the latest.
by
or something.
3:00.
Right, because you figure when we got
Wow.
to the truck, to the takeout point, we had to get everybody loaded up into the truck,
Yeah.
drive that, not everybody, but most of the people loaded into the truck, drive the 20 road miles back north to the launch, pick up the vehicles with the trailers, drive them back down. So there's, 40, 45 minutes
Holy
just
cats.
round trip getting
Yeah.
vehicles back down to the takeout.
So talk about being under the gun, pressed for time.
Yeah.
So you put in at 10:30, knowing you got to be out in 30 hours,
Right.
more or less,
Yeah.
and go 30 miles and sleep
And try to sleep
and
somewhere
eat.
in between.
and camp.
Bear Grylls, Les Stroud, and Dan Wowak were cheering us on.
It was epic though, because when we hit the water at 10:30 in the morning, everybody was amped up. Like, we were just having fun.
bet.
Immediately,
Go to the quad.
fishing rods are being broken out, and we're casting. All we're doing at that point for the first 2 hours is floating.
Okay.
We didn't even try to paddle.
No,
Just
why would we?
drifting.
Yeah, and then we're about 2 hours in, and I think it was Jimmy at that point was like,
Check GPS.
"Hey guys, we've gone a mile." We're like, "Oh, maybe we need to step it up a bit."
By stepping it up, you mean jump out of the kayaks and float.
Yeah, that
Jump
was,
out of the kayak and
That was after
wet
we
wave.
decided to paddle a little bit. We jumped. Well, the part that Will's talking about, there was no wet wading because most of the time we couldn't touch bottom.
Oh, wow.
It was a super
Swimming.
deep hole. Water's going slow, so slow. It was like a lake.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's so hot. Sun's beating down on you. I don't know if you've seen my lobster shins that I've got going on right now.
Lobster
My
shins.
calves are like milky white,
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
but my shins are beet red.
You didn't wear long pants.
No, I didn't have the longest pants.
He honestly gained a new appreciation for your long pants.
Oh, I love the long
situations.
pants and the long shirts.
Day 2, I was using neck gaiters,
Oh, bless your heart.
dipping them in the water and laying
Oh,
them on my
my.
shins
I'll lend you a pair.
We also
next
ran out
time,
of
bud.
sunscreen.
Oh, God love you.
for day 2.
Hey, you ran out of sunscreen. What did you bring? Like a teaspoon?
Listen, we can jump right to the things, the lessons
ran out
learned.
of sunscreen for day 2.
How many volumes are in the lessons learned?
There were a lot of lessons learned, right?
Lots of us.
Okay, could we take just
One
a
of
little
those.
step back?
Okay, go ahead.
Is it-
Sorry.
what did you bring? Like, talk about boats and kayaks and
Yeah, what's
like,
your setup?
stuff? Like, what stuff did you
So
have?
the other person who was long, we didn't even mention, was Corey Jimson.
Jim's
Corey
son,
Jim's son. We call him Corey Jimson. So Corey was along, and thank goodness Corey was along because Corey really saved us.
No,
Did he?
I'm gonna also jump in on this. Corey saved Ryan the most.
Oh, really?
Well, he saved me the most, sure, but he saved all of us.
He did at some point or another.
I don't want to direct your storytelling here. I'm sorry for
No,
side
No, you're
trail.
doing great.
But
direct me.
yeah, all right.
I'm a little all over the
So
place.
you got all these
So the
guys.
setup is,
Yeah.
But what's cool about Corey is that he had
What did he have?
a little 4-horse motor.
Oh yeah.
So guys that were fishing could fish a little bit, and he would go back and tow you to the pack, to the peloton.
So everybody could fish but Corey.
basically.
that's kind of how it worked out.
I'll
was
bet
too
he's
busy.
so thrilled he's got that.
There was a
forward.
couple times that he peeled off and went way ahead of us.
I can imagine.
So the setup really was, Corey had his boat with the little,
Was it like a John boat?
It's a
Flat
bass
bottom.
raider.
Bass Raider.
That little plastic deal that has like
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the way
Really?
he has it tricked out is stupid.
No
It
kidding.
is awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet little setup.
So the little bass raiders are like little plastic, like roto molded, like 1-2 guy boats, and he has it tricked out to accommodate a little bit of a motor. It's got a trolling motor on the front.
Yep.
He's got the whole deck set up so that he can sleep on it in the middle of the night.
What? That's the way to do it.
Like he's got it all.
He's got the foam mat stuff.
Yeah,
as,
got
as
foam
base.
mats. He slept in.
Slept
he was
in
so
his
comfortable.
boat.
Yeah, we pretty
Right
much had
on.
breakfast done, and then finally, I think Jim kicked his boat. Like, wake up!
Yeah,
Gotta get up.
He was like the way, I can't tell you. He's got radio. He's got he installed like cell phone chargers.
Yeah.
like all kinds of stuff. He said
Wow.
whatever you need, he had it. He just was.
Yeah, it was a pretty sweet setup.
That's cool.
Like
No
a
doubt about that.
Swiss Army boat.
Yeah, and Jimmy also brought his boat. Now he left his motor at home, so he was just
Gigabyte.
running
He did.
gigabytes. Gigabytes came along. And
I was gonna ask
he was
what
just
was the
running a
name.
trolling motor. I think he had a little 45-pound thrust trolling motor on there, and then we had 4 kayaks. Yeah,
How
me, Will, Brad, and Patton, each in a kayak.
how many coolers?
4.
4 like large size, like soft-sided Yeti coolers.
Describe the contents in each cooler.
One was full of beer.
Okay.
Brad
Didn't
had
see that coming.
Brad was in charge of that one. Another cooler had breakfast.
So yeah, breakfast, and then another cooler had dinner
Dinner.
So you kind of split it up by meals
And
and
water.
beverages.
Yep.
and waters. And I had one on my kayak was just my stuff.
Yeah, I had just a little cooler for some of my Diet Pepsis on my kayak, but I was pretty proud of myself.
Well, where do you put all these
Yeah,
coolers?
yeah, yeah.
Where'd you
I-
put the coolers?
I
In the
used
boats?
my Engel,
Yeah.
my bait one.
Yeah.
I used it for like a locker.
Oh yeah.
I had all my dry stuff. Yeah, it kept everything
That's a
dry.
good idea.
Yeah. I wasn't planning on it, but I was like, you know what? I'm taking it. It's lightweight. It's perfect. It's a little locker.
Mine
Yeah.
has shrimp.
I used
That's
his
And it'll
angle
float too if you.
as a camp stool
Oh.
because it was in camp and I didn't bring any chairs. Another lesson learned.
Yeah.
Lesson
Some kind of
learned.
little chair would be.
They work great as a
fantastic at camp.
stool. They should make like an attachment that puts a backrest on those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little add-on piece.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Get with the folks at Angle on that when we're done here.
But
Oh yeah, give him a call.
I think that the thing I was the most proud of, because the other thing that we haven't
making
talked
it back
about,
on time.
well, the other thing that we haven't talked about at all was what we were going to be doing for camping.
Yeah, I got to hear this.
We brought a tent
Yeah.
and we brought 2 sleeping bags, and that was really to accommodate Jim and Matt Patton because those guys really didn't have the gear for camping. Whereas the rest of us, Corey was self-contained in his little boat. The rest of us were using our hammocks.
Yeah.
It's hammock time, and it's
Stop.
stop
Hammock time.
It's early August, so there's no need for a sleeping bag. If you're off the ground in a hammock, forget about it. You don't need a sleeping
Right.
bag to stay warm. You need a sleeping bag if you're on the ground, just as some cushion, right? So completely self-contained in a dry bag on my kayak. I'm golden. I've got everything I need to camp, everything I need to sleep, everything I need to fish.
Yeah.
All on a 10-foot Moken.
That's incredible.
Oh yeah.
See, we were talking about this over the last couple of weeks, and that's what had me my biggest questions were how are you going to take everything?
Yep.
Like because
You have to well, you would have trouble because I did have to scale down my fishing
You did.
equipment. Basically, the equivalent of what I take on a wet wade
Okay.
is what I ended up bringing.
Same.
Okay.
for
So
the
like
float.
one rod and
I had 2 rods.
2 rods.
2 rods and basically just a wet wade bag is what I just trimmed down
Big
the tackle.
Ziploc bag or whatever.
Same here.
Okay.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's not bad at all.
And for that amount of time, it's not like you're going to change extreme fisheries down the same river either.
No,
Yeah, you're targeting the same
Yeah,
fish.
same
But
fish.
having never fished any of this stretch, not knowing what I was going to be getting into, and having to make sure that I had enough gear to outfit Matt
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm bringing 2 extra fishing rods for him.
Right.
I'm bringing extra tackle box for him. You know, like I needed to make sure that I was going to have enough stuff for him.
Yeah.
And how many Ned rigs is this guy that's never fished going to lose?
good night.
You know what I mean? Jump ahead in the story. He didn't lose a single hook.
Really?
Never even got hung up
What?
until he got to the takeout point really early with Jim.
Yeah.
We were a couple hundred yards back till we caught up. They were trying to fish from the bank. This guy covered 30 river miles with the same chatterbait with soft plastic trailer.
Yeah.
Got it hung up in a tree on the bank when he was waiting for us to get back.
I got odds were.
What's the chances?
And when I got hung up a bunch, and that was just opportunity for me to be like, I'm gonna just paddle. You know.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to get set up. You know. Just
So you're trying to fish, and like Will said, you Corey would come get you when you'd start to get behind or fishing too long. How long did you fish, like the first day before it was like we got to find camp? And so let's start with that question because I got a million follow-ups.
Well, but
sorry,
I mean, we covered 17 miles of
first
river.
day.
So it's not like
You
we
didn't
found
fish.
a spot and we fished. Nobody ever threw an anchor out. Nobody ever pulled up to the bank. There was no stopping. It was just fishing. And you know from wet wading, you guys know what you look for you read the stream,
It looks
you understand
fishy.
it, and you know when it looks fishy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get a little rock ledge, and there's a little bit of riffle behind it where the water's moving a little bit faster. That's where the smallies are hanging out, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not in the still stagnant water. They're back here where it's moving a little quicker. So you'd see that stuff coming, and you kind of get yourself ready and get your kayak positioned a certain direction. And then as soon as you hit that little bit of faster water, boom, you start fishing.
that's the thing too. If you see that coming, or if you know there's going to be another section somewhere. So
Yeah.
if you really were judicious with your time and wanted to fish and be you would get ahead of the group, and then go through that 0.25 or 0.5 class rapid, and then you could set up and try to fish a little bit while the other guys are coming through.
Okay.
So that's the way to do it, but not every. You took the time when you felt it was right.
Yeah.
It looked fishy. You throw some stuff and you keep rolling.
So did you guys land anything decent the first day, or anything? Were you able to catch anything? 'Cause that seems like a tough way.
Yeah.
A tough way to fish because
It was, I mean,
you just don't have time to really work any
I got
particular
like
area.
5 and 3. So 5 the first day and
Did you?
3 the second
That's
day. Which
respectable.
it was a slow start for me.
Yeah.
I didn't catch the bulk of mine until evening.
yeah, 5 or 6, I think, was the number on day one. I had
You had them throughout the day.
I had a much better second day.
Yeah.
But I did have, a little bit here and there throughout the day. So, I mean, we caught some fish. Nothing was massive.
But it
Everything
was-
was around between 8 and
Yeah.
12 inches.
I think the Susquehanna bass are bigger than the Juniata bass, but
There's probably some pigs in there.
I saw a bunch of pigs. I got to stand a lot on this trip, and I'm so glad I did. Have that ability.
Yeah.
But I stood a ton, and I got to see some holes. I got to see some places where the bass and the channel cat are hanging out.
Really?
And day 2's trip was better than the first day's for sure.
Looked a little fishier.
It looked a bit more fishier. I saw a flathead, I think.
I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility,
Yeah, I think
is it? That's
very easily could have been.
Yeah. I saw a ton of channel cats. I saw bass everywhere. I just didn't see a ton of channel or flatheads, and I saw one that was pretty decent size, and it was just kind of like snaking away from me. Like you should see that thing swim. It looks like S's for days.
Looks like a little rock kicking away from me.
I have to ask, dinner. What'd you guys do?
Well, here's another thing I was pretty proud of was my camp setup, right? So we talked about most of us in hammocks, and we did bring a tent and all this stuff. The bulk items that weren't for any of us as individuals on the kayaks, they went on Jim's boat. Thank goodness he brought that.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I do appreciate that. I mean, he had a whole little.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, he had some more real estate that we didn't have.
Yeah. But what I did have was room directly behind my seat where my crate would normally go on the kayak. And what I did was I put together a little kitchen box.
Ooh.
So I got a nice piece of Tupperware that was 8-10 inches tall. Mm-hmm. And probably 10 by 15.
Like a big cake pan.
Like a big cake pan with a lid.
Yeah.
And I filled her with everything that we would need for camp.
Like what was that?
So I got salt, pepper, French fry seasoning. I was going to throw in the Old Bay, but I forgot to. I got garbage bags. I got cooking spray. I got a little wooden spatula thing that we can use to stir stuff. I got my mess kit, aluminum foil, scrubbing pads, dish soap.
You did the dishes while you were out there?
Buddy, I had it all.
Nice.
I had it all. And it's all self-contained in this little box.
He likes to keep a clean box.
She
I guess.
She was ready to roll.
I guess.
So when we got to camp...
Well, how did you know where camp was?
We didn't.
You don't.
That's the other thing. We do now. We know some spots.
I don't mean to jump around in the story,
but this is what you need to be doing to help me out. Keep me
before
focused.
you get, like, how did you left, you set out knowing you had to go 17 miles.
The food, like, was pretty killer. I think the real bugger of it was that it was hot.
Yeah.
We were tired. Food is like the last. Yeah. Not the last thing, but the second to the last thing you care about. And we just, I think you said it, I think. We overdid the food.
So you saw a spot.
Way too much.
You saw a spot and said, let's stop here and let's eat dinner time.
Once we knew we were at a certain point, and that certain point was halfway, right? Then it was, all right, start scouting the shoreline for a place to camp.
Yeah.
There are, what we've learned, established campsites that you can just pull up to now.
Some little signs.
Beautiful flat land, wide open, no underbrush, beautiful trees to hang hammocks. Like, there's some amazing places. We didn't see those until day 2.
Yeah, we saw. If we would have just gone,
a little bit
more,
further.
Yeah.
But what happened is we got to that halfway point and we start looking. Well, the banks, one side is all pretty much private property, so that's sort of off limits. The other side is where we're going to be doing our camping. And when we decided, okay, let's start looking for a spot, it became, sheer banks up to these railroad tracks, and it's just steep. There's nowhere to put a tent. There's nowhere to hang a hammock.
Yeah.
All of the brush is 8 foot tall, and it's pretty much all poison ivy. Like, there was not a good spot, so we kept going to the next place to check that. Let's look ahead to the next place.
And that can take all day.
It seems like forever. It seemed like
it took a lot longer than we thought.
Yeah, every couple hundred yards, less and less. What's the word I'm looking for?
Brad and I scouted for a while, and it was just we were crossing back and forth on the river, and it's not narrow.
No,
and there's enough current to get I don't know. We after paddling as much as we did, and then to cross back and forth, it's a bit of a chore. But the bottom line is, like, we're kind of like, is that a spot? No, is that a spot? I'm going to check that spot. Well, that one looks down there. Go down that way. It looks like more, you just didn't know.
Yeah, and it took the enthusiasm. That's the word I think I was looking for. Starting to fade a little bit.
And
people were getting hungry.
It's a little dusky, and I think we started at 6, but we ended up making camp around 7:30.
Yeah, it was probably about 7:30.
So Bucky asked about dinner, right?
Yeah, we
got to hear about it.
Well, I will tell you guys what, when we decided this is the spot and we pulled up, without any real prior planning or talking, it was all hands on deck. Everybody had a job and we figured it out. It was amazing. We
Jim
pulled the boats up.
Jim got a sandwich out, and his son got his Subway out, and they just watched.
Yeah. Okay, so it was most of hands on deck getting it done. Those guys started eating their stuff.
So they packed a lunch.
Yeah, which is why we overpacked on food.
Yeah, I don't think that they knew, or I don't think maybe it just wasn't communicated that we were having food.
We were
catered.
Camping. Yeah.
He whips out his Subway, and it was just more of a kicking the old baby maker groin, because it was
Subway.
We're all it
was probably like double meat, double cheese,
with bacon.
Yeah, with bacon.
Well, I don't know why he just didn't wait and have delivered pizza. It just,
if we would have been on the opposite shore right at that launch, that
it could have happened. But the bottom line is, I wasn't expecting someone to whip out a fresh eat fresh sub.
Yeah.
When we have all this packed food.
Oh, and
cheesy,
I'll tell you what,
warm.
We ate way better than he did.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
Well, get on with it. What you have?
One group setting up tents, another group setting up hammocks. I started building a fire. By the time that everything's set up in camp, the fire's ready to cook on. Brad's got these big pans that we're going to cook on. I got the cooking spray. I've got a cutting board in that thing.
What?
Too. Oh yeah, I got a cutting board, bud.
I've got hunger pains.
I've recently made some of our own knives, so we're set up. So Brad whips out this big bag of yellow potatoes, and starts slicing them nice and thin on the cutting board. Oh, and I hit the pan with we let it heat up, of course, and then I hit the pan with a little bit of that butter spray, and boom, in go the taters.
Was that them Yukon Golds?
I love fried potatoes.
So those potatoes are starting to do their thing. We get the other big pan out. We start heating that thing up because the fire's just perfect for it.
This is going to be the meat, right?
And here comes the meat.
Ooh.
Will shows up with 2 of these containers, like soup-sized containers. How big are those things?
It was a quart or something? Like quarts or something?
Yeah. If you think about like an ice cream thing, so turn it this way. Yeah, probably about a quart.
Yeah. 2 quarts
We're verging close to
barbecue
brisket.
It's pre-cooked, y'all. Here's the thing. You get pre-cooked barbecue brisket.
Yeah.
All you got to do is heat it up.
Warm it up in the skillet.
So we fire up that skillet.
Putting a little pinch in between your cheek and gum.
And he brought an extra thing of the Sweet Baby Ray's.
Love me some Sweet Baby Ray's.
Once we got that brisket all nice and yummies, then we hit it with a little bit more Sweet Baby Ray's.
There's nothing on the planet that you can't make taste better by just cooking it over a fire.
Open fire.
Like there's something about even just like cooking eggs.
We had a whack of hard driftwood. And it smelled delicious. I don't know what kind of wood it was. I don't know.
Probably poison oak.
Could be poison oak. But it
Nordic cherry.
Yeah.
But I was
likely.
I had a handsaw and I was sawing some up, and it took me. I didn't have the energy to do it. Maybe it was paddling all day and whatever, but
that'll do it to you.
It was hard sawing.
Yeah.
But you should take a cordless Sawzall with you next time.
But we also had like a big pack of beef franks. We had a couple things of sausage. We had wild boar sausage.
Like this is all for dinner.
We had all of that stuff, but once we got through the brisket and the taters, everybody started like kind of picking at that stuff.
Yeah. So you did cook it.
Here's a pause moment. Lesson learned. Plates. Would be great. Utensils. That'd be awesome.
I forgot that.
You forgot.
Oh no.
So we're eating off a hot skillet.
I'm gonna do. Ryan has a little set, and I'm gonna get that too.
I have a little cheap mess kit type deal, and I have a couple of those sporks. But I was using one to cook with, so we pretty much shared the other one, and then used my little mess kit pan and lid
as a plate,
as plates and stuff.
Got you through one night. You survived.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's all we had to do was get to the next day.
Yeah. I mean, everybody was full.
Yeah, you were.
Well, Jim couldn't eat any more Subway. But the rest of us were full on brisket.
Jim had
you saw the bread. He stuffed himself on the bread.
Peanut butter and jelly or something.
That's got to feel so good.
But
like
then
being just exhausted and having that.
How good you guys?
And then we racked out.
Yeah.
We slept good.
This sucked for me.
in 15-minute increments.
Too hot.
It was too hot for me. It was like God, my hammock has a bug net,
Yeah.
right?
That sounds fancy.
My baloney has a first name.
Oscar.
OSCAR.
So anyway, that bug net doesn't let air go through as much as you think it. It's open.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was
Stifling.
A little
Was
hot
it?
box. It wasn't until 2:30 or so, like 3 o'clock, is when the temperature actually dropped, and then I got a couple
There's
winks.
a sidebar conversation about that.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about train tracks.
Are you? Were you there?
I wasn't there. I was just paying very close
did a little
attention.
foreshadowing.
To
Were they rolling smoke all night long?
Oh,
Every 35, 40 minutes.
Are you serious?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't obnoxious until
Now, we're
it
on
was
the train track.
2 sets of tracks, because it wasn't really obnoxious.
That was
until
obnoxious.
2
The whole-
trains went by.
There, two at
opposite
once.
directions.
How close were you?
It was
As the
not-
salamander crawls,
Yeah.
about 30 yards.
Even if you're
Lord.
half
I mean,
a
it was-
mile, it's still going to
it was
wake you up.
uphill.
Yeah, I would
I'm
say
probably-
70 yards. 80, 100
But it
yards.
was close enough that in a hammock tied to the tree, you still
For all
kinda-
intents and purposes,
shook
you're
a little.
right next to
All
the train.
intense.
at 70
we were on the
yards.
wrong
Yeah.
side of the tracks, but
We're on, yeah. And it was stupid, and we knew that was part of it.
Yeah.
But because we were floating next to the train tracks the whole time.
yeah.
But
Hey, here's something we found out. Lesson learned. Those really nice campsites, they're nowhere near the tracks. They're on islands in the middle of the river.
we passed a bunch of islands to
Yeah.
get to where
Yeah.
we decided. it was
Did you
gonna be
guys
awesome.
name your camp?
No,
Mahogadaga?
Huggamadugga.
I think that name's already taken.
Gotcha. And it's just as
Bucky and I would have named
I did
the
hear
camp.
Corey.
I would.
I did hear Corey ask Jim at one point, "Why does he keep yelling backpack?" And Jim explained the whole backstory of Hank.
That's cool, Jim.
It was funny.
Yeah, Adventure Jimmy came out of a shell, I believe.
So-
but the sleeping thing for us was
Not great?
No, it took a while. It was a process, and I hate. My body does not conform to hammock sleeping. The best part about the trains was if your buddies that you're hammocking next to
Yeah.
are snoring,
Yeah.
you can get up to void, take a nice little leak while the trains are running, and nobody's the wiser or wakes up because of your
Oh
restlessness.
my goodness.
It's funny. There must have been that many trains because I did the same thing. Brad said the next morning he did the same thing.
Yeah.
But never did we meet
You never crossed paths.
during
We
a
never
train
crossed
crossing.
streams.
That's a lot of trains and streams.
Yeah.
So-
the funny part too is for me was I'm very conscious, or try to be conscious of my waters, my intakes,
Hydration.
my
Sure.
hydrations, and when we got to camp, I just started chugging and chugging, and it had to be the 2 o'clock.
Couple
on.
quarts low, were you?
Yeah. Oh, I definitely was, but
It finally caught up.
It all caught up around 2 o'clock.
It made its way through.
Yeah, and I don't have the bug net on my hammock. So
Right.
I was pretty comfortable most of the night. But like you said, it hit that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the temperature did drop. I actually got a little chilly.
Did you?
My feet
I did not.
were
Not
cold
once.
at one point, and then I realized, hold on a second, I have this blazing sunburnt shins. So all I needed to do was one at a time. I just kind of shifted my
Warmed your-
legs up.
There
I
you
took
go.
my foot and put it on the opposite shin. And I'm like,
There it is.
I was my own heating pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
One was
Or
soothing,
burn
one
cooling
was
Cooling.
Yeah.
I just rotate them.
great.
I just rotate. When the next train came and woke me up,
You
I'd
could
switch my
flip
feet.
switch shins.
wonderful. Yeah. No, I couldn't sleep for the most part, but until the temperature dropped, it was better.
Well, I'm going to beat Bucky to it and fast forward to breakfast.
Yeah.
Oh, Breakfast was a whole lot of the same. It was epic. We made egg sandwiches.
So Ryan and I did a little bit of Captain Deke,
Yeah.
from the ice fishing adventures, taught us a little trick, and we filled up to one of those Nalgene bottles full of eggs.
Like we did at Trout.
Yeah. Trout day.
First
There
day
really is
trout.
no better way. Like,
Why
I'm gonna go camping.
I don't know why people haven't been doing that for years.
It's such a terrible thing to
Yeah.
bring eggs. Well, you're going to crack those eggs when you get there, right?
Yeah.
Crack them ahead of time. Put them in
and
a
then you
bottle.
got shells to mess with, and
Yeah.
salmonella
It was
everywhere.
a thing of beauty. It was like 1.5
raccoons at camp.
Yep.
1.5
Don't need
eggs
them around.
short of 2 dozen. Is that what we ended up
That's
getting
what
in
you.
that bottle?
That's funny because when we went,
How many
when
did
we
you
went
get?
fishing, I had 23 or no, yeah, I don't remember what it was, but it was one short of something, one
Yeah,
short of a dozen or
Well,
one,
we
one short
tried
of 2
to
dozen.
get that one in, that last one.
We
You
did.
couldn't do
We
it.
had a little funnel, and it just
We kept going.
kind of went everywhere.
We knew it was going to be
we
tough.
topped
I
her off.
tried telling you.
One egg too far.
But it was worth it. So we had the scrambled eggs going. We made bacon and sausage patties that we had, and then we used another pan to toast English muffins and bread.
You didn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
bring any cheese up?
Oh yeah. We had the sliced
kind of
Velvetas.
cheese? Velveeta's is
Sliced Velvetas.
Individually
Kraft
sliced.
singles.
Yeah.
No, Velvetas.
Just-
the singles Velveeta's or the shredded,
Individually sliced.
individually sliced and wrapped.
You guys got fancy.
Oh
yeah.
man, we're gonna have to remember that, Buck.
So it was great.
Our
Everybody had
ships
a
came- our
nice
kayaks
breakfast
came in.
sandwich. We packed up
That'll
camp.
get you going in the morning, right there.
Yeah, it was really good, and
Yeah.
everybody kind
Did
of
we have
knew.
to do much to the fire? It was still kind of rolling, right?
I stoked it up in the morning. That was the first thing I did. As soon as I got there, there were already
You
hot
were
coals.
up. I was still sleeping.
Yeah, but they were already hot. They were still hot coals.
Right.
Had a little bit of smoldering going on there. So all I did was just get a couple handfuls of little stuff, made the little teepee over the center of those hot
Yeah.
coals. Then I used my hat, fanned it a little
Fender.
bit.
Bob's your uncle. You got a
Bob's
fire
your uncle.
going.
There you go.
Bear Grylls, your uncle.
Yep. So yeah, it worked out really well. Then we packed up camp, and everybody knew, right? Everybody just kind of had that sense of
What time is it?
7:30.
we were
guys
back
slept
on the
in?
water by 7:30.
Wow.
We were up by I was up by 6.
Were you?
I got up out of the hammock around 6.
probably finally
tried to
got to
fish a little
sleep
bit in the
around
morning. I tried to throw a frog, then I tried to throw a whopper plopper, just to see if I could get anything going at first light.
Anything? Nothing.
Nothing. I think all of the potatoes and
Oh, real quick too.
Did
like,
anybody- Speaking
beef
of that,
brisket I threw in
where
the
we
creek the night
where we
before.
ended up making
yeah.
camp was not only did we have trains,
Yeah.
but we had
bow fishermen
high intensity bow fishermen just kind of.
all night long,
Lighten you up.
4 a.m. along the banks.
So it was too funny. Like, this is a really, really cool river.
Yeah.
But a lot of people can enjoy it.
Yeah.
But when we got to camp, the cat fishermen were just pulling in, and the bow fishermen were just pulling in, and then they both go all night. They
Yep.
leave around
Yeah.
3 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then who rolls in right after them?
Bass fisherman.
Bass fishermen are back at it again. At 5. So
And we're like, we never left.
it's crazy how with the turnover, that river never gets a break.
Yeah.
But we knew we had some ground to cover.
Yeah. So much of the same.
So everybody,
It was
Hauling it.
it
Everybody
wasn't
got to business.
The same. We had a lot of fun the first day.
Did
We
you?
floated quite a bit, and we did some different things. I worked my tuchus off to get.
on day 2,
Yeah, I wasn't getting drugged.
I did.
You got.
I got towed a lot more on day 2.
He got towed quite a bit, but
And that's how I ended up having a better day fishing, because I spent a little more time fishing. Corey
Yeah.
kept coming back for me.
He's
Yeah.
a good guy, that Corey.
Yeah, Jimson.
He hooked us up. But we made it back to the truck.
Did you get Andrew?
we actually were ahead of schedule, and there's no way we could judge that. But we were ahead of schedule, and we paddled so much, and it was so funny. We were starting out the first couple whatever paddles, and 40 minutes of paddling, and Ryan's like, I'm done with this crap.
Yeah. Done with it.
And he's like, it's over. Come on, And we still had 10 more miles.
Oh my.
Oh, Lordy.
So the funny part is, we absolutely got through it and everything. And then the best part, I think the icing on the cake is that we went and ended up back at Al's, for some pizza and beer.
Oh,
Was that
pizza and
the
beers.
best pizza you ever had in your life?
It's
at that
pretty darn
point?
good.
Yeah.
Pretty dang good.
Was it as good as the breakfast in?
No, well,
It's good in a different way.
it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more of an accomplishment.
Yeah,
less than-
satisfying.
no more paddling.
Yeah.
And to recap the whole trip, the plan really was, we knew we weren't going to be getting on the water at 7 a.m. day one.
Yeah. Right.
So we figured we'd leave the house at pretty early. We get a good breakfast in us when we stopped to fuel up, do whatever we need to do, get a good breakfast
Top
in,
off more
hit the water,
waters.
and then you got snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Snacks will get us through until dinner time. So we knew we were going to miss a meal, but we didn't know the dinner was going to be quite that late.
Yeah.
And then the same thing coming off the water, we figured we'd wake up in the morning, have a big breakfast, and then we would paddle, get to the trucks, and be at the trucks. So, snacks would get us through there. So we really only needed to worry about 2 meals on the water. So it did work out well, but we were a little hungry.
Well, I would like to thank you guys for doing this, because
Now we know.
the next trip that maybe Bucky and I can
It'll
go
be a lot
along on
easier.
will be a lot easier and a lot
enjoyable.
a lot more potentially enjoyable.
The funny is when the guys left to go get the vehicle at the put-in, Ryan and I stayed back and we started to get stuff put together and arrange everything. And these guys, these fly fishing guides,
On the float boats.
with their drift
Oh,
boats.
yeah.
Drift boats, that's it.
Yeah.
Ryan got to talking to him, and he said, told him where we put in, and obviously he knows where we got out, and he goes, he basically said, you guys didn't fish much, did you?
Yeah,
He knew.
He knew.
Just because of the time elapsed. Wow.
I'm standing there with all these kayaks and boats, and there's fishing rods everywhere, and we're just trying to start to clean up stuff. And he asked me, he's like, "You guys just going out, or you packing up?" I was like, "Oh, we're getting done now. We put in up around Lewistown." And he goes, "Whoa, that's a long trip." I was like, "Yeah, a little longer than we thought it was going to be." And I started laughing, and he looked over at the stuff. He goes, "You didn't do much fishing, did you?"
Wow.
And I was like, "No, actually, we did a lot more paddling than we thought we were going to be doing. So no, we didn't get to do much fishing."
Did you guys try any trolling since you were paddling? Did you try trolling at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
I tried twice and got hung up both times. But I think it's
Gotcha.
because of the head on the little paddle tail deal I was using.
Two
was
things
a
are
little
at
too
play
heavy.
with that is that you have your jig with your paddle tail, and for the most part, it's just going to drag along. It's either going to drag along on the top, depending on how fast you're going, or it's going to it gets so shallow on you so quick, and you
Snag
can't,
up.
Yeah, you can't adjust for it. It's very hard to do that, to
Gotcha.
troll on that body of water. There's deep parts and then there's shallow parts, and then it just happens quickly. As the bass swim.
But even with two boats in our crew, we only had to portage Jim one time. He got hung up.
Yeah.
And again, he was running a trolling motor, so
Yeah.
when it started to get shallow, he had to pull that thing up, so he had no way to navigate.
Wow.
So he's just at the mercy of the current. Right. So
He had a paddle,
Even-
but it was a tiny one.
yeah, it was one of those
it was
emergency
not,
expandable,
Not
not
much.
adequate.
not conducive for what we're trying to do. But he still managed really well. He navigated the thing perfectly, and only one time I think he got the boat hung up that we had to actually get out and help him lift it up over some spots.
Did he run out of juice for that trolling motor at all?
He had a couple,
Backup
big
batteries.
they
Okay.
were brand new, shiny backup, gym style
Gotcha.
deep cycles. The thing is, I want to back up to this fly fishing guides. I thought was really funny was he actually told Ryan that anything over 5 miles, he's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's brutal,
Like 5 miles in a day?
yeah.
What?
And you're not going to fish
Yeah, he
more
goes,
than
"Ain't
5
more
miles.
than 5, you're not fishing."
You're not fishing.
That's good information.
We did 17 the first day.
30 total.
Where were you yesterday?
Yeah, could have used
But-
that info. Thanks.
Where were you yesterday?
But again, we know now, cut the trip in half based on what we saw. Maybe different river levels, things are different, but based on what we saw, we focus on the second half of the trip. We know where to camp. It'd be glorious.
So cut the trip in half mean cut the distance in half.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save Bucky some heartache. On another thing that I learned, we went past a couple campgrounds, and white bikinis in that river don't mix.
It's a little muddy.
It's a little muddy. It looks muddy. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't fare so well.
They turn yellow.
I don't even know what color that is. Yeah.
Who had a white bikini on? Jim?
Jim did. No, we went by some campgrounds and some, you know what I mean?
Tubers.
Looked like they had some muddy bottoms.
Yeah,
Muddy bottoms.
it just was unbecoming, unfortunately.
You'll have that.
Yeah. That's why I don't wear a white bikini.
That's why.
Yeah.
Because of the rivers.
Yeah, muddy bottoms.
It's a short list of reasons.
Not a good look. I'm particular about my nesting habits.
I figured.
I think we both
learned
guarded
so
that.
much.
Sorry.
But, to quote Will, I think we might have done this, or you boys might have done this current some justice.
I love camping. I love fishing. And you can tie them both together. That's like a
Camp and fishing.
5-episode current. We could talk about this all.
Here's the thing.
The rest of the month.
The H6 was with me. We didn't get to do any
We
pod
never
because we
got
were
to
too just done. When
You
we got
had
to
that
camp.
along,
But I had the
too.
H6.
Good
All of this
gravy.
on my 10-foot mocha.
Wow.
I was completely self-contained, but we were ready.
you
to
If you would have rolled that, that'd have been one expensive roll.
It was in dry bag.
It was dry
we know,
bags.
guys.
The dry case peoples.
I mean, in general.
Yeah.
If you were loaded down. Can you stand up in that?
Not
Have
well.
you
that,
stood up?
that,
Not that
that
one.
version of the Moken. It's not designed for it. There's no flat spot.
I gotcha.
There's a little hatch right in the center, and it's raised up, and then you got the little footrests things. It's just not conducive.
Yeah. Brad stood up a while in Big Orange.
Did he?
Yeah.
How'd he do in that?
Fine. He had
kidding.
a great time.
Does he have the outrigger still on that thing?
No. He has my old one.
Oh.
Yeah.
We put the whitewater rafting guide on Brad's old one,
Okay.
and he didn't have any trouble.
No problem.
okay.
but-
Yeah.
He's
Is he a smaller dude?
He's way smaller.
Gotcha.
Way.
I'm so glad you guys did that. That sounds like that was
always good.
quite
was
an
good.
experience. Yeah.
And we've got the knowledge under our belts
Yeah.
now. We need to do something.
You know
stuff
what's
like
funny
that
is
more.
like we learned about Patton being a whitewater rafting guide, and I'd never done anything like that. Like I've floated before, I've camped before, I've never done it all together. And Ryan, I don't know.
I never have either.
Yeah, and we're
Brand new.
supposed to be these big outdoorsmen and stuff like that, and we're not doing overnight float trips. So it's funny that and then Patton's like, I do.
Yeah, he not only was he a whitewater rafting guide, he also did that 10-day camping trip on the river.
Oh
out
yeah,
there
he was
somewhere.
up in the
Wasn't
Boundary Waters up
Yeah.
in northern Minnesota. So, which is epic all day long. So.
We should have him on this campfire one time, huh?
Yeah.
Good stuff, boys.
Well, Stevie.
They call him the Stevie of his podcast.
Oh, he's a bad boy.
Oh, nice.
He's a bad boy.
Nice.
Since
Kindred spirits, as Bucky would say.
kindred spirits.
Wolfpack is in the house.
Stevie.
Take us home, Buck.
Stevie, how can people find us?
Well, before you tell them
Oh,
that,
yeah.
Yeah.
What
Don't
up, Brian?
forget, boys. This month's episode was also brought to you in part by Scared Fishless Tackle Company.
Scared Fishless.
Make sure you head on over to scaredfishless.com. Check out everything they've got going on, from their 6-inch diamondback worm
Love that diamondback worm.
all the way to the fatty boom batty, Bucky.
Whoa!
That's right. Hey, check out all the cool colors that they've got too, but guess what?
What?
They also do custom colors. You got a color you love? Send them a sample. They'll match it as best they can. Get over to scaredfishless.com. Check it out, guys. All right, Stevie, now you can tell them.
Hop on over to RettenRiverPursuits.com. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rutten River Pursuits. And don't forget about them YouTubes.
Love them, YouTube.
Search Rutten River Pursuits podcast. Subscribe to the podcast and get 2 episodes a week automatically delivered to you on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and the iHeartRadio.
I heart those radios.
I do heart those radios.
Love them.
Big Fish Month continues.
Yeah, buddy.
He's rolling.
All right, guys.
Good job,
Have a
boys.
great week.
What about?
I guess I could probably understand the no trebles
What
too.
if you individually tie 3 hooks on one line?
I don't think well, I know that's legal now,
It's not a treble.
but check your regs. Yeah, then it's not a treble. I guess you could.
But I'm
I don't know if
saying
that would
it's
help
still
you.
the same.
You might snag more. Which,
Well,
how do we get down this path?
I don't know.
We should talk about the ethics of snagging fish.
Tom Snagmore was my.
your gym teacher,
Yeah.
Mr. Snagmore, 8th grade gym teacher.
Yeah.
After the fact, or in the middle of the fact, because I found out during the trip,
That's the term.
he actually went to college somewhere out in Colorado and spent like 10 weeks as a whitewater rafting guy.
Oh, okay.
So the Juniata River on a kayak wasn't too extreme for
Oh
him.
yeah, we hit a couple .5s.
Yeah, we did. And I have a couple of those sporks,
Yeah.
but I was using one to cook with, so we pretty much shared the other one, and then used my little mess kit pan and lid
As a plate.
as plates and stuff.
That got you through one night. You survived.
Yeah, oh yeah, we were
That's
great.
all we
and
had to
were
do
full.
was get to the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was full.
Yeah, you were.
Well, Jim couldn't eat any more Subway, so, but the rest of us were full on brisket.
Jim
Well,
had
you
like,
saw the bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Whoa, that's a long trip." I was like, "Yeah, a little longer than we thought it was going to be." And I started laughing, and he looked over at the stuff. He goes, "You didn't do much fishing, did you?"
Wow.
And I was like, "No, actually, we did a lot more paddling than we thought we were going to be doing. So no, we didn't get to do much fishing."